Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 6 of Magic After Midnight, and we're moving on now to chapter 4. Marcia stares down at the letter on the official stationery of the Night Elf Embassy. It came by the post. She couldn't have been more surprised if it had come by owl or bat. Actually, neither of those would have been surprising, as the contents of the letter itself. And it's not just the fact that Dare might have slightly misrepresented his position at the embassy. He doesn't just work there, he is an ambassador. Picking up the phone, she dials a number on the letter that's arrived. The line rings 3 times. There is a click, and then Dare's voice on the other end of the line. "Well, are you taking me up on my offer?" His phone voice is deep and liquid, not sickly and not young. "Oh, good. I can tell you're well," Marcia says, refusing to be discombobulated by the lack of preamble or his voice. She's sitting at home, even though it's the middle of the week. "Well," Dare says. She takes a deep breath and licks her lips. "It's very generous. The office manager position he's offering is more than just generous, it's perfect. 15 minutes on foot, door to door. Cindy will never have a spontaneous beer party before Marcia gets home from work again. The health insurance is more than decent. The personal day policy exactly what she needs with 3 kids. 3 kids and 2 parents in assisted living situation. Also, it comes just when a hospital has decided to outsource her job." "What's the catch?" she asks. Dare snorts. "It isn't the fact that your boss is a blood-sucking parasite catch enough." Marcia sits in stunned silence for a moment, and then she chuckles. "I thought you preferred symbiote." When he speaks again, she can hear his smile through the phone. "We do indeed. I'm glad you agree. It's the right term. I didn't tell you that your plan for divulgence of our necessity has worked well." "Oh, good," says Marcia. She'd seen the article in the paper with a picture in it. It described a genetic disorder plaguing the Night Elves and about blood banks that were going to be actually set up to counter their society's slow decline. She'd noticed somewhere in the article the mention of vampires. They are controlling the message, which is good. "There's a few snags," he says. "What kind of snags?" she asks. "Nothing a good woman with your sense of diplomacy won't be able to handle," Dare says confidently. "So you figure I'm a diplomat?" she says, raising an eyebrow. She knows she is, but she's curious how he came to that conclusion after she barged into his home a few weeks back. "You went to a gathering with some rather inhospitable relatives while you were dying and managed to hold it together," Dare says. She shouldn't, but can't quite resist maybe teasing him a little. The teasing makes her feel young, and not like the 53-year-old woman that she doesn't even recognise in the mirror anymore in the morning. "You'll need all your diplomacy to deal with our royal family," Dare says, in a voice that is smooth. She knows he couldn't have missed the jibe. "Between you and me," he continues, "they're bent out in the sun too long. Would you like to come by the embassy tomorrow? Say 10 a.m. for a tour?" "Sure," says Marcia. "What are those snags again?" "You'll see," Dare replies, and for the first time she catches the hint of something almost wicked in his voice. "Oh, and thanks for the bat," he adds just before hanging up. She blinks at the phone. Is she really going down this rabbit hole again? Later that night, when she tells her children she'll be working for the Night Elf Embassy, Joshua puts a hand to his mouth and cries, "I'll make you a pendant of holy water." Alicia says, "Mum, you don't have to do that to protect us." Cindy says, "Don't worry. It won't bite her. Mm-mm. No way. They are just too professional, as she's munching on something or other. And Marcia realises that the night elves might not be controlling the message as well as she had thought. The door to Dare's office slams shut. Outside his office, Marcia jumps up from her desk and darts around it, shouting, "Diamonds!" while whipping out her key. After 3 months, Marcia should recognise a snag that's in her plan, before he or she enters Dare's office. But this morning she's reviewing applicants for blood donation. Because of the host bond, donations they're mixed and they're anonymous. But Dare is still very insistent that the donors not be sociopaths, or we may wind up with an Elizabeth Bathory situation. But don't blame us for Attila Hitler, or even Stalin. "Marcia!" screams Dare, his voice muffled by the door. Marcia tries the knob. It's locked. By the reporter, no doubt. Inserting the key, she hears Diamonds and 6 other pairs of feet behind her. She turns the key, pushes, and the door opens. Dare is by the window, one arm in front of his face, the other holding the stuffed bat she'd given him. He's waving it at the reporter like a priest once waved across at him on the street. The reporter, well, he's sitting on the desk, dress open at the front. It's a she. She's leaning back, exposing her neck and breasts, saying, "Take me. Make her go away." Dare whines. "Let's get her out of here, boys," Diamond says. "Another one," she hears one of the dwarves grumble. Before the snag can protest, she's being carried away on her back out the door, the same way the dwarfs had hauled away Marcia all those months ago. Dare peeks out from behind his arm, then walks over, puts the bat on the desk, pats its head, and falls panting into his chair. Without a word, Marcia goes over to the percolator, device that keeps the fresh pig's blood from coagulating, and she pours him a mug of it. She has learned many, many things so far about Dare in the past few months. For instance, she knows that Diamonds is Dare's grandniece, by marriage, of course, not by blood. One of his daughters is married to a very nice dwarf, and she has adopted 4 little baby dwarfs. Dare has extolled the virtues of grandchildren over lunch frequently. Vampires do eat. The tiny amount of blood they drink doesn't have many calories. She also knows that he was and is supposedly one of the most feared and respected vampires in all the realms. The reason he is an ambassador here is because he has a lot of experience on Earth, primarily hunting down rogue vampires who had disobeyed the travel ban. It's also hard to believe sometimes. This is one of those times. She hands him the mug and he takes it with shaky hands. This is all your fault, you know, Dare grumbles. He always says that. Vampires have a more devoted following than Marcia had imagined. She nods and says, "I know." He finishes off the mug. He has access to the blood bank, but only drinks animal blood, for some reason. Marcia's not sure if it's because he thinks human blood should go to the less fortunate, or if he has some other reason for his abstinence. She's not sure why he doesn't just ask. Dare looks around his office, and then out the window. What a beautiful foggy day. "Where do you want to go to lunch, Marcia?" Her gut does a little twist at that. He stands up quickly. "Oh, but wait, before I forget." Walking over to the bookshelf, he says to her, "I know that Joshua is feeling in need of inspiration for that fashion show, and I thought perhaps, he picks up a parcel wrapped in paper, walks over and hands it to Marcia. He stands too close. She ducks her head and takes the parcel, a little clumsily. The paper falls away, and she's staring at a book. Elves in various sorts of glittery attire walk across the cover. It's magic, very literally. Even fashion for the last 2,000 years, you need an encyclopedia for all the earth fashions in the same time frame, he says, backing away and sitting down on the desk. But perhaps it will spark Joshua's muse. Dare knows about Joshua's muse's recent absence because a few days ago, over lunch, Joshua had texted her 31 times. Instead of being mad, Dare had actually read over the messages. Yeah, right over her shoulder, that is, to her phone. It's beautiful, she says, and probably priceless. Elvish works of art and literature, they're still rare, especially originals. She could sell the book to Sotheby's and all her financial problems would be over forever. It's a gift, he says casually. Marcia swallows. She won't ever sell it. So where should we go for lunch? He asks. I think I might be in the mood for garlic. Does Italian or Chinese suit you? How to be diplomatic. You had Italian yesterday, she says. His lips purse. True, but you weren't with me. Cindy was with you, she says. Did that sound snippy? She didn't mean to. She didn't mean for it to sound snippy at all. She seemed to be wandering a little far ahead. Dare, says, shaking his head. Marcia huffs. I hate that open campus lunch policy. Cindy had, according to her, just bumped into Dare, but Marcia's not sure she believes it. Dare raises an eyebrow at her. Is something bothering you, Marcia? Marcia looks at the book, with the glittering elves drifting across the covers. Many things are wrong, but she thinks this might be the way to put them all to rest. Drive a stake through it, so to speak, she winces. Cindy, well, I think she might have thought, well, the way she was talking to Alicia, I think she may have thought yesterday's lunch was a date. She remembers Cindy leaning against the door of Alicia's room saying, Darcy took me to lunch. He paid and everything. Oh, he's excellently handsome. And the way he looked at me, it made me feel like I was the only person in the world. Dare bursts out laughing in fits of giggles. When Marcia looks up at him in alarm, he stops. Oh, right. I'm sorry. That is disturbing. And I shouldn't have laughed, he says, contritely. It's easy, Marcia says, her jaw getting hard, to see how she might have gotten that impression. Dare snorts and rolls his eyes. Yes, we have so much in common. She's a 17-year-old girl who lost her father, who thinks she's abused because she is used to being used as a pawn by a godmother, and she's looking for a father figure to save her, Marcia bursts out. Dare's face gets very serious again, and his eyes soften. Ah, you spend a lot of time with us, Marcia says. That's true. His home is past hers. The kids' bus stop is on the way, and, well, almost every night he winds up walking the three of them home. Sometimes he talks to Joshua, sometimes to Alicia, sometimes he talks to Sydney. It has been a good thing. Alicia stands a little taller when he talks to her. She says it's because she isn't about to show fear to him. Cindy has started doing her own work more regularly. Marcia is still not sure what Dare said to encourage that. And Joshua no longer gets bullied, because he's met at the bus stop by Dracula. A few times she's wanted to invite Dare into their house for dinner, but considering how exciting dinners with her family can be, she has been embarrassed, a little afraid. Marcia licks her lips nervously. It might be better if we, take it easy for a while. She closes her eyes and exhales. There, that's done. Now she'll just come up with a reason to skip lunch. Is that really what's bothering you? Says Dare. And I'm going to leave that part here for now, guys. Thank you for listening, and I shall see you in the next part and see where this all leads. Many blessings.